Hi, this is Jenna.
And this is Heather.
And this is Conspiracies Unlocked. How was your weekend, Heather? Will you work on the weekends?
No, well, I actually had an eventful weekend because the toilet in my children's bathroom decided it wanted to leak because the wax seal needed to be replaced. And so my son and I got to be plumbers, and we got to repair the toilet. So that was exciting.
That's so exciting for you. It was Mother's Day, and Brad went to the races in Sacramento, and he took my oldest and my youngest, and I took the middle one to Disneyland.
So much funner than working on a toilet.
And I've never taken just one child before, and so it was really fun just having that one-on-one time. And then that was Friday, and then Saturday we went to the Santa Ana Zoo, which I've never done that. I didn't even know that existed. It's a very tiny zoo, but it does have a train, a Ferris wheel, and a carousel, which Cody loves Ferris wheels. And I am fucking petrified of them.
I'm terrified.
He was trying to, the one in Disneyland is you're in a cage, so you're pretty well, you're not going to fall out. And we went on the not swinging one, so, everything was fine. But the little rinky-dink one at the Santa Ana Zoo...
Oh, no.
...was not caged in. And he had said, he had tried to, look over, and I was like, don't move. Do not move. Why are you moving? Don't do anything. Stop it. And we just kept going around and around and around. By the time that we got off that thing, I was, shaking getting off of it. I used to be able to handle this shit. I've never liked Ferris wheels, though. No. No.
Okay, so I'm right there with you. The last time I went on a Ferris wheel, I was with my son, and he was I don't know, he's really little. I don't even think my daughter went on the Ferris wheel because I was probably too terrified to take her.
Yeah.
Because she was littler even. He was probably 3 or 4. And when we got off the Ferris wheel, he's like, Mommy, my hand hurts, because I didn't realize I was squeezing his hand so bad.
I do that when we go on a plane.
I left the fingernail marks in his hand. It didn't draw blood, but it had the little fingernail marks, so I was holding his hand so tight, and he didn't say anything until we got off, and he's like, Mommy, my hand hurts, and I'm like, oh my God, did I do that? I'm so sorry.
That's how I am when I fly and I'm landing, because I'm always worried that when you land, that the plane is going to, go to its side and then roll over, and we're all gonna, die. Mm-hmm. So I always, hold on to, and if I'm with a child, sorry, kid, they'll be all fine. I'm like, it's fine, trying to comfort them, and they're like, I'm fine, Mom, and then, I'm squeezing them. I'm like, it's gonna be okay. Just breathe. Do your breathing with me.
They're like, you're tripping.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. And then on Mother's Day, I did, because Brad was still en route coming home from Sacramento, so I got to spend Mother's Day dinner with my best friend growing up, who is now my sister, and her family has become my family. So I went out with her and her sister and her brother and their mom and all of their family and stuff.
Nice, yeah.
So the extended family over there. So, shout out to Kathy and Jennifer and Daniel and Holly. If you listen, I just know Holly won't listen to this one. That's why she's last.
Well, I did actually do some fun stuff, too, to celebrate Mother's Day. It wasn't all toilet water and chores, but we did go to brunch. The kids and I went to brunch.
I love brunch.
One of our favorite places, I'll tell you off air where, because it's really good. And then we went...
Do they have mimosas?
They do have mimosas.
That's the only brunch you should ever have.
Yeah, no, they have mimosas for sure. And they gave everyone a flower on Mother's Day.
That's sweet.
All the mothers. But when I left my flower on the table. I forgot it. And I was like, oh, my flower. I left it. But then we went to a place... in another town where you can paint ceramics.
Oh, yeah, I want to do that with you or with anybody. I don't care.
Yeah, we should go. It's so much fun.
They used to have one near here, but they got rid of it through COVID. And I never knew where they opened another one, but I love doing that. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Have you picked up your... Oh, it's not even ready yet.
No.
It's only been 3 days.
No, yeah, it's going to be ready in a week. And I did a coffee mug with a mermaid theme. Like, the handle's a mermaid tail.
Oh, yeah.
And then inside, I painted a little mini mermaid, and they glued it in there. So, like, when I drink my coffee, she's going to, like,
a mermaid's going to come out. That is cute.
And then Isla did, like, a little square box that she painted, and then on top she put a topper. It's a little elephant.
Cute.
So she can put, like, little trinkets,
and then she can open it with the elephant. Is that, like, the knob to open it?
Yeah, that's, like, the topper.
Yeah.
And then she did a really cute theme with, like, inside it's all, like, dark black, like, with, like, stars.
Yeah.
And then the outside it's all, like, blue and clouds and stuff.
The way that it looks now will look nothing like how it looks once you get it back. Because it makes all the colors, like, when they put it into the oven, it, like, transforms the colors. Like, they'll be, like, really bright and, like, because right now I'm sure they're really dull.
Yeah.
Whatever they are, it'll be, like, really bright, and it almost changes. Like, some of the purples will change, and the blues, they'll change, like, hues almost.
Yeah, and then Finley did he did a bowl. Just to eat, like a bowl you would eat out of, like it's an actual bowl.
He's so, like, plain.
Yeah.
I love him.
I did a mug.
No, I know, but, like...
And then, but
that's, like, the most Finley thing. I think that would be, like...
he's very practical, so he's like, I use a lot of bowls.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that is such a Finley thing, because he is so practical. He's like, why am I going to make a mug? I don't drink coffee. I don't need trinket shit box. Like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so that was kind of cool. And then mine, I did it with glaze. So it's actually going to be like ceramic glaze.
Oh, cool.
And then theirs, they did it with like the paint that was on the table. So they're two different. They're going to look different when they come out of the kiln. And then
Finley probably should have done the ceramic glaze as well.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Just because he's going to try to eat off of it, and he's going to put that shit in the microwave.
I don't think you can put it in the microwave.
I know it'll get into the food. Yeah. But you need to tell him that.
Or the dishwasher. We can't put. I don't think we should put him in the dishwasher.
You need to tell him that, because he's not going to know that. You know how kids are.
Well, he microwaves everything, too. And I don't even like using the microwave, really. I like the little...
I don't like using yours either. Her microwave is, like, probably about 150 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I like the little
it was the prototype microwave.
The little convection oven.
Yeah, the toaster oven.
I like the toaster oven better than the microwave, just because the food comes out better, and I feel like it's just better for you. But.
Yeah, but, like, even, like, just trying to, like, cook a breakfast sandwich, like, all quick in there, like, heat something up, it's, like, there's so many buttons and, like, turnies, and it's just knobs, and, like, it's not like normal buttons, guys. I know how to use a microwave. It's, like, weird. It's really old.
Well, I just hit the quick start, and then it'll go for as many minutes as you hit it. So if you just hit the one button, like add a minute, quick start, you can be like dun dun dun, and that's 3 minutes.
Yeah, but a lot of times I only want to do like 30 seconds.
You're on your own. You gotta turn the knob.
Yeah, there's like, it's weird.
Seconds.
All right, anyway, so what we're talking about today is about the Chinese coming across the border. We're having a new border crisis that we haven't quite had ever before.
We're having a huge border crisis. I feel like that's all I've been hearing about lately is the border crisis.
So here in America, there seems to always be a border crisis. But usually it's the Mexican illegal immigrants crossing the southern border into California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, or even the Cubans coming by boat to Florida. And this time, the border has been seeing an uprise of Chinese immigrants coming through Texas.
Makes sense. The borders are like wide open at Texas.
But why? Why are they suddenly coming? How? And why would they want to travel all the way from China to the North American continent and then flee directly to the United States of America, oceans away from them, when they have all of Europe and Africa as well as other parts of Asia to migrate to? It just seems like a really long and treacherous journey for them to come halfway around the world.
I see what you're saying. Like, it makes more sense that somebody from Central America, not Central America, but like
China.
No, from the
Asia.
No, not. I'm thinking of South America, and I said Central America.
Oh.
It makes more sense that they would come up our southern borders because they live southern
right
from
there.
us.
Yeah.
So they're just going to go up the...
And that's what it's always been.
Check up.
And there has been influxes depending on what's going on. Like when Cuba, Fidel Castro was whatever... I don't know all the stuff in Cuba, but all that communist bullshit that was going on in Cuba, there was an influx of Cubans and Venezuelans coming into Florida. Mm-hmm. And when things have happened south of the border, there has been influxes of people from Argentina, Brazil, etc., coming up to America.
And I know that El Salvador has a lot of people that come from El Salvador too because of their
government and political issues.
I have neighbors that are from El Salvador, and they've told me how dangerous it is there.
Yeah, so I mean that all makes sense because you're not getting on a plane and flying over to South America to go up to California. So we'll get it, or America.
I know what you mean, yeah.
We'll get into that in a little bit. But Ted Cruz, he's the governor of Texas, and he had said that 90 to 100 Chinese were smuggled in by the Mexican cartel at the Texas border. And that was just in like one incident.
Oh, that's just the one
time
they caught and they
caught. And many of them died through the journey. And Ted Cruz also stated that those are the ones that we know of. We really have no idea how many actually crossed through successfully. And although that number does not sound significant, like I said, that was only one instance.
I feel like that number is significant for one instance.
That's why I'm like, that's significant for one. Another instance occurred in Hidalgo, Texas, at the Rio Grande sector, which is where most of them are coming through. The Rio, remember? Even the Mexican illegal immigrants, they go through there too.
Yeah. And that's the sad thing is people drowned and stuff.
Yeah, and that was really sad when you saw the little babies drown in there. That happened like last year, 2 years ago.
And then also I've heard like pregnant women and stuff. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really sad. So this particular group was the largest group of any illegal immigrants, including all races and ethnicities, like everywhere, to be arrested in over a decade. So even for like Mexicans coming up, or Spanish, or Argentinians, for anybody coming through that Rio Grande sector, it was the largest group. They apprehended 1,577 Chinese immigrants, which is up 920% from the year 2022.
Wow, that's a lot in one, like, apprehension.
And the chief patrol agent, Gloria Chavez, tweeted, "Week in review," because I think she's pretty fucking pissed, like irritated about it.
Yeah.
And she's just like, this is bullshit. So, week in review, 3,980 encounters, 41 vehicles seized, 8 firearms seized, 242 pounds of marijuana seized, 9 gang members arrested. So that was just 1 week.
So she's breaking it down, like exactly.
Just to be like, hey, this is
it's not just people. There's other things happening. There's guns. There's drugs. There's other
vehicles,
things happening.
Yeah. So once again, that's like only 1 week, and that is for those who were caught. The immigrants' treacherous journey begins with a flight out of China or a surrounding country into Ecuador. They choose Ecuador because they currently do not require tourist visas from Chinese naturals.
Oh.
So they don't need a visa. They can just like hop on a plane and go.
Okay.
From there, they head to Panama. This area is super dangerous due to the gangs that abuse and kill migrants. And this is because of the Darien Gap that is on the Panama. That's like where the main part is really scary for them. And right now, right before you get to like the Darien Gap, they have in Panama, the citizens there have set up Chinese restaurants now, as of like this year, and they are booming.
Oh, because they know there's so many immigrants
there's so many Chinese immigrants coming, and they are actually they're spending more money than citizens of Ecuador and Panama.
So
they're outnumbering them right now. So they're starting to just build Chinese restaurants for them.
Oh, wow. And then also, I wonder if these immigrants coming from China, they probably, I don't know all of them, but have more money than the ones coming from some other countries.
They do, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. But so there were over.
Because I was just thinking, how can they afford to they're migrating here, and they're on this long journey. How do they have money to stop and eat at this Chinese restaurant?
Yeah,
well, they probably have more money in their country.
They're ready to. Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's so dangerous for them to pass this gang place, because they know that they have money on them. They know that this man is probably carrying tens of thousands of dollars or euros or yen or whatever the fuck.
I would be afraid to get robbed.
Yeah, exactly. So there were over 900 immigrants that were found going this way, and you have to think that the immigrants started to come in, the Chinese, in October. The end of October started not a lot. They didn't really uptick. It wasn't a big deal until January. So it's been 5 months, and they found 900 immigrants going through that way, through the Panama.
Yeah.
And that was this information came from March, so in 3 months.
Wow.
They found that many that they found. So that doesn't account for the ones that weren't found.
Oh, of course. There's probably been so many
probably
thousands
10,000. Yeah. One problem Border Patrol has been seeing with those 900 on both the South America side as well as the North American side is that they don't have enough Chinese translators. Oh. Which sounds so trivial, but really, if you can't translate or you only have a handful, it's taking a lot longer for them to process them and get them to where they need to be, whether it's being deported or it's going to get asylum somewhere or whatever the fuck they're trying to do.
Just to move on to the next phase. Just to move to the next step.
Yeah. They're getting these people, and it's they're not speaking any English.
Yeah.
And they speak Chinese, or not Chinese, they speak Spanish and English. That's because that's what happens at the southern border.
Yeah, it's
not Chinese.
Common languages.
So they might only have 2 or 3 translators trying to translate all this shit for, so if you are proficient in Chinese or Japanese, well, probably not Japanese, but any of those, Mandarin, Tagalog,
there's
all of that or whatever, you should probably go to the border and get a job as a translator.
Oh, yeah.
I bet they're looking.
You can probably make a lot of money doing that.
For right now, they are. Take advantage. So it's just interesting that that's what's becoming a major issue that you just don't think about. There's a lot of things that occur that we just don't even think about being issues or at all.
Yeah, I would never
even thought of it. Yeah,
being an issue. Yeah.
So to understand why the Chinese are coming to America, we need to look at China and why are they fleeing? Why do they want to leave? Right now, Xi Jinping is currently the president of China and has been since November 15th, 2002. However, China has been a socialist country since 1949, so this isn't new shit. According to the World Population Review, copyright 2023, and quoting it directly, China is considered a socialist economy because the government still has a tremendous amount of country over... not country... What word should that be? Because it auto-corrected. Control. Sorry. Still has a tremendous amount of control over private enterprises. There are private companies that operate in China, and not everything is owned by the government. However, with a single party in power, the government is able to change the direction of the economy significantly with the stroke of a pen. Therefore, there are a lot of companies that are unsure of exactly what will happen in the future because they are at the mercy of the government. But like I said, this has been going on since 1949. It's not because it's all new presidents are coming in and changing shit. That's just how it's been. So, anyways, with that being said, the government has complete control over pretty much everything. What Jinping says goes. The people have no say. When the COVID lockdowns occurred, China had the strictest lockdowns. People were not even allowed to leave their house at certain times of the day. China implemented a zero COVID strategy that seemed to look like a great idea on paper. Basically, by extravagant lockdowns and massive widespread testing, China would accomplish a nation with zero COVID cases, which is a great thought and was truly wanted by the Chinese until the government took it too far and for far too long, which resulted in massive protests and riots. The Chinese government was so empowered, they would lock people in their apartment buildings, literally locking and chaining up the outside of the apartment building door to ensure no one in the building would leave.
I remember seeing on the news, too, it was pretty extreme how they would, like, tackle people and stuff.
Yeah, it was...
And then they were just going around spraying everything, remember?
Yeah, I remember
like,
that with, like, disinfectant
or whatever it was. And I remember thinking, gosh, like, you would see them just, like, manhandling, like, forcing somebody... down, and I'm thinking, gosh, like, it must be really bad there that they have to do that. Like, why are they doing that?
It was not that bad. They just wanted it to be zero, probably because they're the ones that unleashed it. So they're like, well, look, now it's not our problem because we got a handle on it. It's your guys's. That's all I can think of is, like, what they're thinking.
Also, I think, too, you're probably right about that, but also think about how many people are in their country.
Yeah.
There's so many people that if it gets, like,
spread at all,
rampant,
it's gonna...
like, it's affecting a lot of people.
Because people are literally living on top of each other there. Have you seen how tall their apartment buildings are and how many people? There'll be, like, 1 million people in one apartment building. Like, no joke. I'm not even exaggerating.
No, I know.
Like,
I
legit,
did see, like, one building that was going around on Facebook or Instagram or some social media where it was everyone, I think it housed, 30 or 50,000 people in this one building. And it was a big building, but even just the thought of 30 or 50,000 people in this one building, I'm like, what if there's an earthquake? What if there's a fire?
Anything.
What if there's, like...
Well, tragedy did strike in one apartment building on the evening of Thursday, November 24th, 2022.
Oh, wow.
And that was Thanksgiving for us. Obviously, nothing for them.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving is American holiday.
Yeah, but it was our holiday.
It was our
They had some disaster.
Yeah. So everything was going, it was just a regular day until a fire broke out. And these particular apartment buildings had been locked down since August. So with a chain on the door and all that. And they had...
Wait, it was a fire?
Uh-huh.
And they had chains on the doors?
Yep. And when the fire started, no one could escape.
Shut up.
10 people died along with a 3-year-old boy. At this point, the Chinese people felt betrayed and were pissed. They started riots and were chanting, Communist Party, step down, and step down, Xi Jinping, step down. China was still in zero COVID lockdown until December 2022. So that was like the next month.
Yeah.
33 months that the Chinese people were essentially unable and not allowed to leave their homes. And they'd be able to leave for maybe a few hours at a time, but they had to be back.
Yeah, like
and
to get groceries or something.
Yeah, like very and it would be like different. It would be like not even different apartment buildings. It was more like different like areas. Mm-hmm. So this apartment building, this apartment, and this one, or like this street can leave.
They probably had different things, like different zones. I'm sure.
Yeah, they probably zoned it out or something.
Very,
I'm not sure.
Planned,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's an interesting fact. In November 2022, the government reported 13 deaths. In December 2022, so the following month when the lockdown was lifted, they reported 59,938 deaths.
What?
In an attempt to prove that their extremely COVID lockdowns were saving lives, and that's why it jumped, because in fact the numbers were inflated to prove their point. They were inflated because from the beginning of COVID to November 2022, the only deaths that they were reporting were those who had a positive COVID test done by a professional testing site and were showing symptoms with no underlying conditions.
Oh, okay.
So they were probably doing that to deflate their number because they didn't want it to seem so crazy, especially because it started there. But now they're like, wait, we need to inflate. So suddenly in December, they decided to add everyone that had received positive tests at home. They also added the people that were asymptomatic, so showing no signs of being sick, but had the virus in them.
Yeah.
As well as adding the deaths that were caused by any respiratory illness, underlying or not.
So that reminds me of here in America, where you would hear like, okay, the numbers were always like questionable with COVID, right?
Yeah.
Everybody was.
In America, I feel like we always had inflated numbers because if you died in a car accident,
that's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah,
if you die in a car accident and they find that you had COVID at that time, they're going to mark it as a death of COVID, even if you, like, got stabbed in the heart with something and you died on impact. They're still counting it as COVID, even though it was, like, COVID in trauma.
because you had COVID in your system. And
Which
the hospitals,
does not make sense.
The hospitals were getting more money with every COVID death they had. So as long as you put down as COVID, then... But I don't know the truth of that. We could do an article on that. I like your white toes. She has white toe nail polish.
So it's even like...
It matches your pants color.
Yes. So I'm like thinking it's like, what if... We're not talking about COVID. What if somebody has cancer and then they drowned in a pool, but then the doctor says they died of cancer?
It would be like the same thing.
It's the same thing. It doesn't make sense.
But no, the cause of death is not cancer. It is by drowning.
Drowning. So it's like, even if you remove COVID, and because COVID's like such a conspiracy already, it's like, what if we did that analogy? It's like, that doesn't make sense. So how does that make sense with COVID then? Yeah, exactly. I mean, it could be anything, you know? Yeah. It just doesn't add up. Like,
and then also you have to think, like, even if, so from November, 13 deaths to December, 53,000, if you did get COVID, you wouldn't die that quick from being exposed for like a few weeks.
No.
The deaths wouldn't occur until January, February, March.
Yeah, because you have to have like
you have to have it, and then it has to go down, and it's like it all takes time. I mean, I'm sure some people get it and die within a day or 3, or a few weeks. But most people, I feel like they get sick, they get worse, they get worse, they get worse, and every time it takes them takes a while. I don't know.
I do know of a few people that did legitimately die of COVID.
Yeah.
That
I know a few people who did too, but it took
it wasn't
forever.
It wasn't like a very
It wasn't
fast.
like a week thing. It was like they were in the hospital for one person I think was in the hospital for a month or 2, and the other one was in the hospital for almost a year.
Wow.
A full year. And
I mean, and I know all ages, like, not personally, but the family member, like, one of the people that passed away was, like, early 20s, all the way up until, like, elderly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it affects, it did affect a lot of people, obviously.
Well, anyways, back to this. So some interviewed the Chinese immigrants, and they are saying that they were fleeing because of the strict COVID lockdowns. They're trying to get out and escape when they can. One man said he was able to escape in October, just mere hours before his apartment building was going into lockdown for what could have been months at a time. The only way he was able to escape, because at that point they weren't really letting people out of the country. You weren't allowed to leave, you weren't allowed to come in, you're not allowed to do anything. And he was only able to escape because he said he was going to school in Italy. He paid to go to the school, went through the entire process to get out of China and into the school in Italy, even though he had absolutely no plan nor desire to ever attend the school that he paid for in Italy. Instead, he came to the United States.
Oh, yeah.
Another man, 55-year-old, I'm gonna fuck this up, but Yin Chengxian, I said it I said it last night like a billion times to try to be good with it, but
I don't know how they pronounce
Yin
the X.
Chengxiang said he fled due to the COVID lockdowns and that he would be more than willing to help Taiwan beat the CCP. CCP stands for Chinese Communist Party. Another immigrant named Zhu says he used to be part of Little Pinks. Little Pinks is ultimately a cyber fan club that would find people disgracing the Chinese country as a whole, whether it was disrespecting the flag, talking shit about the president, talking shit about the country, whatever. They're almost like China vigilantes for China and protecting China in their name. So for this fleeing Chinese immigrant to leave China and denounce his country was huge. So he's pretty much been living his whole life being yeah, China, go China, 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 China. If you disgrace the flag, if you stomp on it, fire it, we're going to find you and we're going to fuck you up.
It's like a patriot, basically. Yeah.
But an extremist.
Yeah.
So that's huge that he would just be no, never mind. it really shows what kind of country China has become, or more that the Chinese citizens are finally being aware of the kind of country they are protecting. The government controls the media and what society sees through the media, so much so that Zhu had no idea about the Great Chinese Famine or the Tiananmen Square massacre until 2021. He only found out from others using VPNs, virtual private networks, which is reminiscent of how the news of coronavirus within China was being spread through social media. Do you remember when they were having to talk in code and use emojis to get word out that there was a deadly virus in November, December of 2019, while the Chinese government was trying to still cover their asses? Do you remember that? There was like a big thing, and that was before it even came here. COVID came here, and they were trying to like tell, but they were being censored.
Oh, so they had to talk in code.
They had to talk in code.
Yeah.
And so in 2021, they're still like talking in code, kind of, and they were able to spread quote unquote conspiracy theories or facts or whatever. So he was protecting his country and going after those who showed any sort of disrespect towards China, and he was unaware of China's past. This is when Zhu had an epiphany and realized the Chinese government didn't give a crap about any of their citizens or simple human rights of their citizens. They only cared about control. So I'm not going to get into like what the Great Chinese Famine was too much, but just a quick summary. This occurred between 1951 and 1959 and 1961. This 3-year famine killed tens of millions of Chinese citizens. Citizens even resorted to cannibalism and was known to be the greatest man-made disasters of all time. We could and should do an entire show on just this because there are many theories on how it could have been avoided and also how the Chinese government really screwed over their own people. There were also many cover-ups involved in this horrible time in China history. And yet the Chinese citizens were never taught that in school. They've attempted to completely erase it from their own history.
I've never heard that before, and I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Like, there was such a famine that some people had to resort to cannibalism.
Yeah. In 59 to 61, like it's so
that wasn't that
recent.
Long ago.
No, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, we need to look into that more because I'm interested in that.
Yeah. And then the Tiananmen Square massacre occurred on June 4th, 1989.
That was pretty recent too, 89.
We were alive. This was a major protest that led to hundreds of thousands of casualties and deaths from friendly fires. The government was so hell-bent on covering the deaths up that no one actually knows the extent of deaths that occurred. People have to solely rely on eyewitness statements as well as hospital records. And that was another event never taught in schools. So this guy, Zhu, right? That was his name? Yeah, Zhu was he must have been born, I think, like in the 80s. He must only be like 30 something or 40 maybe, where he wouldn't remember this occurring. Yeah. It's 89.
Yeah.
So you have to think that he must have been like 5 or under.
Yeah.
Maybe even 6 or under. Yeah.
Somehow when things like that traumatic happen, you either block it out or you vividly remember it. You know what I mean? And he obviously vividly remembers some accounts of what happened.
No, he didn't. He found out through the other people. He just found out this information in 2021.
Oh, so he blocked it out.
That's why he was
traumatic.
Yeah, that's why he was part of the Little Pinks. That's why he was such a patriot. Until he wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes more sense.
So I think really that people all over the world had a lot of time on their hands during the COVID lockdowns in general, that they started to like research and learn about things that they didn't know before. And I feel like a lot of things have come to light about our government, their government, the royal family, who's actually running the world and why things are happening.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of why we started this whole podcast, really. I mean,
people are waking up.
Yeah, exactly. It's like everyone got a minute to breathe, look around and assess what we are doing here, why we are doing the things we are doing, for what, also, for who, and for why.
Like, what is really important.
Yeah.
Because when you're in your house and you have a lot of time on your hands and you can't leave. All you really have time to do is reflect.
Yeah.
And you sit around in your thoughts and you reflect on your life and the world around you and what is really going on in your children and your family and
like if this was a government like ploy type thing, they kind of fucked themselves.
And then you just start thinking, like, what else is going on in the world?
Yeah, and you have nothing else to do but like read books, peruse the internet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like things are just gonna start getting out there, you know? So Chinese citizens have been slowly trickling in for about 6 months now. They started in October, like I said, of last year, just like, but not massive until December. Mm-hmm. And in January 2023, so this past January, U.S. Air Force General Mike Minihan sent a memo warning that we could be at war with China by 2025. NBC News is backing these claims and saying they are seeking refuge due to the current political situation and lack of opportunity in China. However, the political situation has been the same since 1948. So, but like lack of opportunity, I always thought that like America was like the same level as them as far as like opportunity, and especially for the men of the country. Like, and that's who's coming, is the men of the country. The women aren't coming. Like, I could see the women leaving, and they have, like, obviously, like, they have immigrated over here in the past, so they could have more kids and for the political reasons. But for them to suddenly have an influx here and only be men, it's fucking weird.
But only being men, are these military age men?
Yeah, I'm gonna get, yeah.
Okay, because that was one of my thoughts.
That's a major, yeah. So U.S. Customs and Border Protection said at least 4,300 Chinese undocumented immigrants, read illegal immigrants, were apprehended crossing into USA from Mexico. One anonymous, and this article was published in March. So all of this stuff, recent, yeah. It was very recent, but it was only, so it hasn't been 5 months, 4,300 5 months, it was 4,303 months.
Okay.
One anonymous migrant who chose to stay anonymous out of fear stated he feared staying in China after speaking out against government corruption. He had been put in jail twice for it already. So they don't have a First Amendment. He fled by following clues left on social media apps. Maps, videos, pictures, and step-by-step instructions. He said it was advised to cross at the California border, which checks out. That tracks.
Well, that does check out because our borders are not secure.
Well, and yeah, well, I was like, fuck, I don't want to say this on air. I don't want other countries to know.
Well, they already know.
But they do. Everybody knows that I know, and we want to get the truth out there, and that is a problem. Our borders are not as secure as they should be.
And I know, like, this isn't about
but
Trump.
At least,
this isn't about Trump.
No.
But Trump was talking about a wall for a while. And I know, you know, whether you're for it, against it, you think it's a ridiculous idea, like, oh, that's not going to stop people, or whatever you think about it. I think he maybe was foreseeing something like this happening.
Well, he's been warning about about Chinese.
Was the wall the best idea? I don't know, but that was his idea. You know,
yeah, like he was being proactive about something. So it's funny that they wouldn't go through like Texas, because Texas has Ted Cruz, someone who's against the open border policy, but then California has Gavin Newsom, who's like, sure, come on in, guys. We'll give you everything.
Yeah, and Texas is supposed to be more strict about it, right?
Yeah, and Texas is.
And that's where they're coming more?
No. Oh. The thing said that he was advised to cross the California border.
Oh, California. That makes sense.
That was like, that's why that tracks. Like,
yeah.
So this information, as well as information on lodging and the actual detailed information, can cost tens of thousands of dollars for each Chinese immigrant. So whoever's like giving them like the clues
for like the coyotes and stuff.
Yeah,
like
well, no, for like just to get like, so there's a I have a thing where it tells. Oh, I told you that already. How they have to fly into Ecuador and then they have to do this. So there are like pictures and maps of how to get to the next spot, to the next spot, to the next spot. I mean, this is like a huge thousands and thousands of miles of journey.
Oh, you gotta pay for your airfare,
and then after that, then you're on foot pretty much. Like, so you have to know where to go in a language that you don't speak, in a country you've never been to.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. I'm imagining that these
I don't even think
that
I could go to like Mexico and get to like southern Mexico on my own. And I speak Spanish, kind of.
Yeah.
I speak Spanglish. Like, I understand, like, like, a good amount enough to where, you know?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like, I wouldn't be confident going alone.
No, not without, like, a fluent Spanish-speaking person. Mm-hmm. And then you have Chinese, which is a totally different language. I mean, a different dialect language.
And then also, too, like, just about, like trying to blend in and stuff, you know?
You
like,
couldn't.
It would be hard. It would be difficult to blend in because you look so obvious, like, you know, not like what people look like, but yeah, you don't look Mexican. Hispanic, sorry, you look Latino or whatever. Yeah. Because even like there's a lot of like Latin people that have like blonde hair, blue eyes, or red
down
hair
in South America, like far down there.
But like I don't know if there's necessarily Asian people that have. I mean, maybe there is blue eyes and blonde hair. I don't see a lot of that and stuff. So it would be harder to like blend in.
You wouldn't
to try to pretend like, I'm supposed to be here. like how do you blend in and like kind of hide with like and stuff? Like,
no, you don't.
Like, I guess you'd have to like disguise.
You would
yourself.
be like targeted massively.
Because I'm just assuming that like when you do these treks, you would kind of want to disguise yourself, like if I was gonna try to go to another country or something, I'd probably like try to wear a wig or like put in different contacts or like, you know what I mean, like hide your identity in a sense. Like, I don't know if they go to those lengths. But.
Yeah. So I did have a question, a random thought about people trying to get here. Like, I thought America was like so bad and treated everyone that wasn't American or white or whatever horribly. Why are people paying so much to get into America that's like just so horrible? That we have no human rights, that we have nothing. Like, I don't get it.
Are like way worse.
Yeah, but us Americans think no, I don't, but like there are a lot of Americans who think America's like the worst country ever
because they haven't lived anywhere else, probably.
Right? Like, I don't see anybody going to Mexico, fleeing to Mexico, so obviously Mexico's not a good choice. I don't see anybody fleeing to China.
They haven't experienced living in other countries where it actually is like very repressed, but like you would third think world, and where women have no rights and children are being sex trafficked.
So then why are they even talking about it if they like then shut up until you can like read up on it or something. I mean, like, go watch History Channel,
honestly,
Discovery Channel, discover something.
I feel like this is America, and really if you're not Native American, then like really you're an immigrant, but now that there are laws in place and stuff, you do need to do it the proper way. But at the same time, I've never lived in a place where there's like war and bombings and killings. Yeah. And I probably would do it the wrong way too. I'd be like, fuck I don't fucking care. Yeah. I'm taking my kids. We are not going to get bombed, raped, murdered, blah, 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 whatever. Starving. No, I agree. Like, I agree. Whatever. And we're going to get over to whatever country it is. Fucking doesn't matter if it's, you know, it's America, whatever. We'll fucking go to Canada if it starts happening here, wherever, you know? Yeah. Like, I get that side of it, but I don't know. There's just so many people. It makes you wonder, like, is that why they're really coming here? Or is that just a front and really it's
we're gonna get there.
You know? Like,
so, anyways, so the week of April 7th, 2023, the Taiwan president, Tsai Ing-wen, which is a woman president. Oh, nice. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that
like,
is awesome.
Just because like their culture is so known to be like kind of, I want to say archaic, kind of like where like it's not really archaic, like but
sexist
sexist, yeah, like where the men are supposed to be working. Like that's how I always viewed them, and maybe I'm wrong. So that's a thing. So anyways, she and the U.S. House Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, met here in California, United States. The same week that this meeting occurred, China was simulating attacks on Taiwan. During this time, China held 30 days of military exercises around the island of Japan. The TRIP project, which stands for the Teaching, Research, and International Project Policy at William and Mary's Global Research Institute, surveyed international relations scholars. aka the teachers and professors at the major colleges and universities around the world. And some of the questions that were asked was, which area of the world do you consider to be of greatest strategic importance to the U.S. today? 51% said China, 13% said Western Europe, and then the rest, 1%, the other locations. And then the same question again, but for 20 years from now. And again, China led it by 61%, and 6% tied with Western Europe and North America, not including Mexico.
Wow.
So another question was, what are 3 most important foreign policy issues facing the U.S. today? And the 3 top choices were 67% global climate change, 63% rising power of China, and 52% U.S. domestic instability. How crazy.
Mm-hmm.
This shows how the scholars who are the most knowledgeable professionals within the international relations around the entire world are all worried about China rising to power.
And when they say instability in the United States, are they talking financially, right? Because of what's going on with the financial markets.
I think maybe economically, or I'm not sure. When I was doing this, I was thinking politically, but I'm not really sure.
Well, politically could cover finance. So
yeah,
politically could be anything.
When they were asked if they think U.S. and China would go to war in the next 10 years, 41% thought there was a 10 to 29% chance. So even though most are worried about China's rising power, there is still some doubt as to whether this would affect the U.S. and lead to war. When asked about the U.S. and Russian war, 19% thought 20 to 39% chance.
But don't people still believe that COVID was a war, in a sense, like a bio-war?
Yeah.
So that is like the beginning of it then, right?
That's a whole other conspiracy.
If it came from China, they're saying it came from China, and
the biohazard war, yeah. So one of the most important answers came from a question that asked if they thought China would use force towards Taiwan, and 72% said no, which is interesting to me because I feel that if the USA did go to war with China, it would start because they attacked Taiwan. Then 88% of these scholars believe that if China attacks Taiwan, the U.S. should place sanctions on Chinese leaders and government. 82% said to take in Chinese refugees, and 70% said to stop purchasing from China.
That's hard.
82% to take in Chinese refugees. Why are we going to take... They're attacking us.
Yeah, well, I mean...
But it's innocent people and stuff,
The refugees would be, like, the people that don't want to be involved.
Yeah, exactly.
And, like, probably the kids and stuff.
So, just for, the survey... Just for... who these people were, 68% were Democrat, 98% hold a doctorate degree, and the majority were white male between the ages of 35 to 64. 50% years of age, 50% claiming to be very liberal on social issues, while 42% are somewhat liberal on economic issues, and 26% are very liberal on the same economic issues. So it's kind of very liberal answers, I guess.
Okay.
For socially,
that's good to know. Yeah, because you want to know who are they asking.
Who are they asking?
What is the demographic here?
That's what I was looking for. The demographic.
Demographic, yeah.
So, for the past year, China has surprisingly not advanced towards Taiwan. They're just currently, quote unquote, scaring them with their military exercises. And China President Jinping said in a speech given during March 2023 at a meeting that only occurs once a year between the National People's Congress, the NPC, and the Chinese People's Political Consultative, otherwise known as the Two Sessions. He said, "Dare to fight," and also let the people know that China's defense budget went up 7.2% this year, which is double the budget from last year. If this does not sound like China's preparing something, then maybe this will change your tune. Beijing has new military readiness laws, new air raid shelters in the cities cross from Taiwan. They also have a new national defense mobilization offices throughout the entire country. During his speech, President Xi Jinping also addressed his plans to make China less dependent on foreign grain imports. Which, fun fact, China gets most of its corn, grain, hay, soy, etc. from United States.
Yeah, well, also that's because, and you might say this right now, China owns a bunch of agriculture in America.
Yeah, and I wasn't going to say any of that, but yeah, no, I did hear that, yeah. But even with all this information, experts do not believe war between U.S. and China is imminent. Even though they just had a weather balloon over here in February.
I was thinking about the weather balloon too. I was like, I wonder if she's going to bring that up.
Was it. Like, I didn't really go into the weather balloon because I knew that we would just talk. It would just organically come up.
We've already discussed it.
We've already discussed it, but I knew that it would organically come up. That dude, the weather balloon, whatever. So this is my first thought.
Mapping out our military, perhaps?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you guys should go look at the news update on February 13th, 2023. It's a popular one. So anyways, my first thought is that the Chinese are sending military soldiers to America, posing as immigrants to plant them here so China can attack from the inside.
Yeah.
And because the only Chinese people that are currently crossing the borders are males between the ages of 18 and 35.
Military age, yeah.
Why else would they leave their family? They're just going to leave their wives and kids and mothers and fathers and siblings behind for this horrible socialist regime that they are trying to flee. China currently has 2.2 million active duty soldiers and 4 million personnel, while U.S. only has 1.4 million active duty soldiers and 2.2 million
Well, there's
personnel.
More people in China, so they're going to have a bigger army. But let's play devil's advocate here for a second. You have 4 sons, I'm sorry. I have 1 son. Let's say our country was possibly going to be going to war with another country, and our sons were all military age, and they didn't want to be part of it because they don't want to be they don't want to be forced to fight and possibly lose their lives.
Yeah, that's what my next thing is.
Would they flee?
Yeah, leave really quick so they don't have to be part of it.
Would you pay for your kids to get the fuck out of Dodge? I'm sorry, if Finley was like, Mom, I don't want to fight, I'll be like, where do you want to go? If I had the money, I'll send them somewhere too.
So I have that another thought is maybe they are the ones fleeing because they do not want to get involved in the war and do not believe in China's government anymore. Like the guy talked about earlier, maybe they're fleeing out of their own safety and are not worried about their family because their family could never be a soldier.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just like every other immigrant and trying to better their lives and will send money back to their families to better their lives as well. With a country as controlling as China seems to be, wouldn't they notice them missing?
That's the other thing.
Won't they wonder where all the men from the Chen family went?
Yeah.
Where'd y'all go, guys?
Yeah.
So they know that they'll be back in contact with their family. So who's to say they will not intercept the call and hold their family for ransom if they do not become an informant for the Chinese government while they are here in America? You're already in there.
That's true.
So we're going to kill your mom and your sister and everybody else if you don't figure this out. You're in this location, let's figure this out. So holding someone's family leverage is something that can work very well, especially when you're on the other side of the fucking planet with no one here to help you because you don't know anybody in America. And something else to consider. China has stated that they will go to war with U.S. if the USA tries to defend Taiwan from China's overtake. If China does attack Taiwan, President Biden said on September 18th, 2022 on a 60-minute interview, when asked if he will defend Taiwan against China, he says, in quotes, yes, if in fact there was an unprecedented attack. It's almost as if Biden is trying to say he doesn't actually believe that they will attack, and he is saying, quote, yes for now to sound good and get good votes and make everyone feel all warm and fuzzy, but in actuality he's kind of leaving a little wiggle room in his response so he can back out later if he wants to. He's not it's not like a strong, I don't feel strong in his response. Like, yes, we will fuck them up.
Yeah, it's a gray area.
And he's like, yeah, if it happens, which, well, if it does actually happen, and it's unprecedented, so I don't know.
Yeah, but that's how like, Biden always talks about everything.
So he can always get out. So he can always back out if he wants to, and he's gonna be like, well, no, I didn't really actually say that particularly in that fucking kind of fashion. I kind of almost did this, and I was saying that maybe, possibly, if maybe it could happen this way, then maybe I might actually do this, but it's probably not gonna happen. That, like, he just fucking talks in circles. Exactly. So, anyway, that was like what I have about the impending Chinese invasion doomsday. But when I was telling Heather about this, she, like, what we were going to talk about today, what I was going to talk about today, she came up with her she had a fun conspiracy that I didn't even like really think about. So I'm gonna let Heather talk to you about her conspiracy.
Okay, I'll just go over real quick and then here's some of the notes.
Yeah,
here.
the notes.
So another conspiracy is it basically has to do with some actual facts. There are some facts about China that you may or may not know, that they did have a child policy in the past. So there was a period of time when from 1980 to 2016, they had a limit of one child per household because, as Jenna stated, there's billions of, I don't know how many billions of people in China.
In China, yeah, it's a lot of people. They have, like, 60% of the world's population, or 40% or something crazy.
So they, there was, like, a
population issue.
A population issue, and so they did implement that. It has since now ended as of 2016, and now as of
2021, I believe.
Yeah, May 31st, 2021, now you are allowed to have up to 3 children.
With no fines. And
no fines.
We just looked all this information up, like, right now. So that's why I wrote the notes while she was talking, so she can't read my handwriting. Yeah, and I'm like all over the paper. I just did, like, chicken shit.
No. You wrote the notes in a circle around. So I'm taking the paper and I'm turning it in a circular motion.
It's like upside down, and we did that, like, really quickly.
So basically from 1980 to 2016, you could only have one child. As of May 2021, you can now have 3 with no fines or any other consequences. Another fact about China is there is actually still remote villages.
Oh, one more thing that I wanted to say really quickly.
Yeah.
So because in the Chinese culture, it's very important to have that male heir. So what was happening was they were having their one child and it being a girl and then being like, fuck me, like, no, we don't want this, giving them up for adoption
or aborting. They would also sometimes abort if it was a girl.
Oh yeah, or whatever. So this skewed the population as far as there was much more, like in America it's like a pretty 50-50. It's like 49.5 and 50.5 ratio of like male to female. In China, these numbers got really fucked up. So, like, the generation right now, the ones that are supposed to, like, have the next generation of Chinese citizens are, they're not, there's too many men. It's like
a sausage fest.
Yeah, it's like I think 73% is men and only 26 or 7% is female. It's something really fucked up and skewed, and that's why they chose to do the 2 and then the 3, and they lifted it finally because those people are now in 2016 were now 36 and they're like, oh shit, they're not able to reproduce.
How are they gonna procreate if it's all men?
Yeah, so then this leads into what Heather is going to say, so I just wanted to add that's why what you're going to say next.
Oh, yeah, no, it's very important to note that because this ties into what I'm going to say. The other part about this is there are still rural villages in China. A lot of times you think of China, you think of like the big cities, but there are a lot of rural areas. Actually, 1 in 7 people are living in a rural Chinese village, and there's about 1 million villages with approximately 116 people per village. And as Jenna stated, because...
Did you say 100 or 900?
916
Okay, I thought you said
people.
116. I was like, no, you just can't understand my writing.
No, I said 1 million villages.
And then 916 on average. Yeah,
on average. But the thing with that is, of those 916, like you stated, it's male. A lot of males.
Yeah, there's too many males.
And with that being said, there has been, unfortunate events where women are, I don't want to say sold or given or, whatever to these villages.
Yeah, they try to go find a woman so that way they can procreate.
But the thing is they might only find like 1 or 2 women for the entire village, and the women just get passed around and they get essentially raped. And it's fucked up. It's not good.
That doesn't, because it's not a man, it's a woman. The woman has to have like 9 months to have a fucking baby. That's not really...
well, I mean, there's probably more than 2 in the village.
So they're looking for a lot.
The women, and then how the women are passed around.
Yeah, so they need a lot of women.
So
they need at least like... For 916 men, they need at least probably 50 women.
And I mean, sure, there is already women in the village. It's just to have, like,
extra.
Obviously you're not going to be, like, with your mom or your sister
when
or your
you
cousin.
were telling me this earlier,
have, like, other women.
No, I get it. Yeah, when you were telling me this earlier, I was thinking of this poor woman having 900 babies. And then I was like, wait. I'm like, now that you're talking about it, I'm like,
no.
This isn't going to work out. The math isn't. That was my blonde moment. Go on.
Yeah, so it's just the point of saying all this, that like this is happening. This is not the conspiracy that this happens. This is happening, and it's unfortunate, and it's really fucked up. But the conspiracy side that I was thinking of is like, maybe these men in these villages are like, fuck this, let's go to America
and get some women,
because there's ample women here that are like free spirits, that are like, they're like on dating apps, they're DTF, they're like, it's not like you are having to get some woman some weird way and like, and then she's raped, and like, they don't, maybe they're not even down, like they don't want to rape her, maybe like they just want a woman, and it's just like,
just to have a wife.
They just want to come here for that. So that's...
And
my conspiracy is they want to come here because there's more women, and they just want to like meet somebody, and they don't want to have to deal with that. And yeah, I don't even know what I'm trying to say anymore. Not deal with that, but they don't want to be part of that. They're not okay
they're just
with
trying
that.
They
want to come here for a family and a life, and
not even to take her back so much, just to have. And that's not, I don't even think that really is a conspiracy so much, because that is what happens. Like, people have mail order brides that way. Why not have it go the other way,
I don't know, just because the age in the men is like 18 to 35, that's around the age is like that you would maybe want to get married, and 18 to 35, that's young men in their prime, that's when they're gonna want to find a woman, like that's the age, 18 to 35, like, it makes sense.
My nail just broke, Heather.
Your nail just broke?
Look!
Right now?
I have acrylics, and my nail's like, I didn't know.
How? But your fingernail's missing.
I know. I did that on air, and it's fine. Everything is fine. It's fine.
How the hell did that happen?
Well, it was already loose because I was cleaning the laundry room, and like 2 days ago, but I didn't realize that it was like broke. It was the whole laundry room.
Where's your other nail?
Well, that's the one that I broke when I was going through the caves.
Oh my god!
I know, my poor pinky nails. They're just like flat.
You need to do something with your
I don't know what
nails.
To do. I need to have them really short. Just my pinky nails. Because the other nails are fine. It's just my pinky nails that they keep getting caught in shit. They're just like flangering around.
Yeah. Pinkies up. Pinkies out.
I know, it's like bleeding. And I still have a nail, guys. It's just half of it's gone.
No, her nail's half gone.
Yeah, my like real nail.
Yeah, it's all grody.
Yeah, that's so bad. Okay, anyways, so enough about my nail. Sorry. It just happened so quickly.
That escalated quickly.
It does. Okay, well, that's our Chinese invasion show. Let me give you some reference. Let me do my references really quickly. CNBC.com. China scraps fines will let families have as many children as they like. July 21st, 2021. And then ABC News article: How a deadly apartment fire fueled anti-zero COVID protests across China by Carson Yeo. November 27th, 2022. BBC News, China COVID. How many cases and deaths are there? January 16th, 2023. Reading the ChinaDream.com article, The Genealogy and Ecology of the Little Pinks and the Future of Chinese Youth by Yu Liang. No date listed. The Guardian. Growing members of the Chinese citizens set their sights on the U.S. via the deadly Darien Gap by Alicia Chen. March 8th, 2023. Foreignpolicy.com. Poll: What is the likelihood of war over Taiwan by Irene Intringer, Garcia Blaines, Shauna N. Gillooly, Susan Peterson, and Michael J. Tierney on April 13th, 2023. Trip Faculty Survey 2022 to 2023 report March 2023, conducted by Irene Intinger and Garcia Blaines. NBC News article: More Chinese migrants are coming to the U.S. on foot, officials say, by Sakshi Venkatraman on March 29th, 2023. News Nation Now article: Chinese migrants illegally entering U.S. on rise, Border Patrol by Jorge Ventura, March 2023. And factsandDetails.com, Chinese villages, item 1088. ForeignAffairs.com, Xi Jinping says he is preparing China for war by John Profit and Matt Bonninger, March 29th, 2023. That was a lot. I need to learn to read those a lot faster. Thank you for listening to those, and thank you for all the articles from all those great people to make our show happen. And for all the great information.
You're like, let me just read a couple of things, sources, and you're just like... 500 years later.
All right. Don't forget to...
share, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified when we post on Mondays and Thursdays. And thank you.
Email us olive. Don't email us olives.
I like olives.
I don't. Email us at conspiracies.unlocked@gmail.com. And
your phenomenal fan experience.
Yeah, don't forget to send in any UFO, cryptid, anything fun, anything that you think we should hear about, and we will contact you if we're going to post it. And yeah, we need phenomenal fan experiences. Okay, bye.
Bye, thank you.